management as a course, maybe master's, maybe postgraduate diploma, because we can't keep handling it as an ad hoc, would I say, profession. If we don't do something quickly, we're going to move it to engineering. And if you remember and you recall, the demand is so high to move healthcare medicines to different parts of Nigeria. And when they gave it to us, we left the door open. So you have nurses, medical lab scientists, medical lab techs, even people with English, economists, everybody is doing logistics management. So it's not exclusive to you and I. Now they are saying supply chain management should move to engineering because you and I, we haven't professionalized it. We're going to lose out big time, and then we start doing petitions. We're very good at petitions. Let's stop that. We need to be very proactive, and we need to do something quickly. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please just take note of the questions you may want to ask, whether it has been addressed properly here or not. But I know as practitioners, we have the questions that we would like to ask in this particular discussion. I do know that yesterday, a lot of speakers set the tone for today. So I believe that we can ask those questions because the panelists here are in position to answer that question. On that note, I will call on our erudite professor of pharmacy, our dean, to please take the stage.
Good morning, colleagues. I count it a privilege to stand before you at this 91st National Conference of the PSN. I wanted to show you the slides on how we can professionalize supply chain in pharmacy practice in Nigeria. Unfortunately, the media team do not have the slides yet. The first thing is that we need to understand what supply chain is all about, as defined by somebody, a system of organizations, people's activities, information and resources involving the movement of products or services between the supplier and the consumer or the customer, which for us is the patient. Supply chain is an old concept, even though it's a new term. As far as the time of the slave trade, that was actually supply chain in action. To the issue of scarcity of petroleum products in Nigeria, that is supply chain challenge in Nigeria. To the issue of open drug market, that is still supply chain issue and challenge in Nigeria. That term, supply chain, was introduced in the 80s, early 80s. And it is just beginning to mature in Nigeria. For us, who are pharmacists, who are interested in finished pharmaceutical products, we should remember that we have products to select for our pharmacies, for our hospitals. And that takes a lot of knowledge to be able to do that. We also need the capacity, the competence to quantify what we're going to procure. That is still an aspect of supply chain. We also need the competence in inventory management, storage, and distribution. At the end of the day, We want to deliver quality assured medicines to the last mile, to the last person. And all that is involved in supply chain. Now, the issue is, how do we professionalize supply chain in pharmacy practice? The first thing to do is to understand what a profession is. And according to Ansari in 2015, he said, a profession is an occupation that requires extensive training and the study and mastery of specialized knowledge, and usually has a professional association, ethical code, and process of certification or licensing. So you need extensive training, you need mastery of a specialized knowledge, then you need a professional association, and then you need ethical code of practice and conduct, and then you need a process of certification or licensure. Now, going down to professionalization, according to Nielsen in 2007, is a social process. It's a social process. It's not a one-off thing. It's a social process by which a trade or occupation transforms itself, changes itself into a true profession of the highest integrity and competence. So there are two key things there: highest integrity and then competence. That's what will make a true profession. There are certain characteristics of a profession. Number one, substantial education and training is required. Number two, members of that profession regulate themselves. They decide the nature of the training. They also control entry into that profession. Number three, that profession is organized into one or more professional bodies. And then finally, that profession lays down for members two things: code of conduct and code of practice. The code of conduct will establish the relationship between members of that profession and the public, while the code of practice will establish how they will practice that particular profession. So the question is, how do we achieve professionalization in supply chain in pharmacy practice? One, we need to establish acceptable qualification. Should it be just in-service training? Should it be PGD? Should it be MSc? Or should it be a PhD in supply chain? Two, we also need to establish a professional body or association that will oversee the conduct and practice of people who belong to that profession or sub-profession. Then three, we need to ensure occupational closure. What I've heard Mazi talk about, fencing in that particular profession, we need to establish occupational closure, some degree of demarcation between those who are qualified and those who are not qualified. And that can usually be done in four ways. One, educational credentialing. Two, licensure, like proposed by the PCN yesterday. Three, professional seal. Four, certification. If we succeed in professionalizing supply chain in Nigeria, we're going to have certain benefits accrue. One, power. Members of that profession or that sub-profession will have some element of power. Two, prestige. Three, high income. And finally, high social status and privileges. I wanted to show us two international associations and councils associated with supply chain. The first is Council of Supply Chain Management and Management Professionals. You can Google that, CSCMP. That was established in 1963 with a vision statement to lead the supply chain profession by connecting, developing, and educating the world's logistics and supply chain management professionals throughout their career. The other association is IAPHL, International Association of Public Health Logisticians, that was created in October 2007, currently having 5,971 members this October 2018. Coincidentally, Nigeria make up 22% of that association, having about 1,320 members already from Nigeria. Nigeria is the nation with the largest number of members in that association as of today. There was a survey that was done in 2012 about supply chain in sub-Saharan Africa, in West Africa, and coincidentally, Nigeria was not captured because by 2012, there was almost nothing like supply chain in Nigeria. But we have countries such as Benin, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Madagascar, Mali, Senegal, and Togo. And looking at that chart, I could see that majority of the supply chain activities are undertaken by pharmacists in these countries at the upper level. But once you come to the lower level, that job is taken over by other healthcare professionals and even others who are not healthcare practitioners. So the question is, what is the state of supply chain management in Nigeria as of date? Already, the FIP document, Pharmacists in Supply Chain, has classified Nigeria in the phase 2 of maturity as far as supply chain is concerned. And Nigeria already have a Nigeria supply chain policy for pharmaceuticals and other health products, which you can obtain online. There is also a national product supply chain management program, which you can also see online under the Ministry of Health. And also there is a technical working group for supply chain management and procurement. And then finally, there is an MIT Scale Center of Excellence in Nigeria, which has been proposed in collaboration between MIT and African Center for Supply Chain. I will take a few questions in order to summarize. So my first question is, which professional should be involved in health logistics and supply chain management in Nigeria? One, logistics and supply chain management is an inclusive area. It's not an inclusive area. Pharmacists, logisticians, and supply chain specialists and other healthcare professionals can actually be involved. It is a multidisciplinary team that should involve health, engineering, business, and these people should be encouraged to be involved. Regulations and code of practice should be used to define pharmacist logistician only areas or roles. Regulations and code of practice should be used to define pharmacist logisticians only roles in that process. The second question is, are pharmacists the most suited to champion health supply chain management in Nigeria? I think the answer is yes. Health commodities are primarily medicines, which are under the pharmacist's purview. Some supply chain competencies are covered by current pharmacy practice, pharmacy training in Nigeria. Number three, how will health supply chain management be handled in places where there are no pharmacists? Pharmacy technicians should be trained to fill this gap. Pharmacists should maintain supervisory roles in all such places, and this can be done remotely or regular on-site monitoring. Should regulations be put in place to govern the title and function of health logistics and supply chain management in Nigeria? Yes, regulations and guidelines by PCN/PSN to fence in this pharmacy practice area. Additional licensure by PCN for qualified pharmacists should be in place, what I call pharmacist logistician. Credentialing by pharmacy schools and West Africa Postgraduate College of Pharmacy, MSc or fellowship should be done. What immediate steps are needed to professionalize health logistics and supply chain management in Nigeria? One, there should be a formation of Nigerian Association of Public Health logisticians, NAPHL. 2, there should be a bill to establish Public Health Logistician Council of Nigeria, PHLCN. 3, strengthen formal education in logistics and supply chain. I will finally zero in on my area, which is formal education in supply chain. There are 2 things that can be done: professional qualification, which one can obtain from International Supply Chain Education Alliance, or can be obtained from West African Postgraduate College of Pharmacists. 2, there is academic qualification, which we can obtain from universities, and we have already mainstreamed supply chain into the undergraduate pharmacy curriculum in Nigeria, in most Nigerian university pharmacy schools. Also, several schools in Nigeria, I will mention them shortly, are planning to introduce MSc program in logistics and supply chain management. In my own university, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, we have 3 options in that MSc program. One is health commodities, logistics, and supply chain management. The other is transport studies. And the last is disaster, humanitarian logistics, and supply chain management. Actually, there are 5 priority partner universities in Nigeria working with African Resource Center for Supply Chain, ARC. Those universities are Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Lagos State University, LASU, ABU, UNN. So what we can do is to anchor MSc supply chain, logistics and supply chain, either under the Department of Pharmacy Management and Administration, or create an independent new department which could be called Health Logistics and Supply Chain Management under the same Faculty of Pharmacy or Pharmaceutical Sciences. There is also a need for collaborations and coalitions with ARC, with MIT Scale, with Federal Ministry of Health, with State Ministry of Health, and with the private sector. Future directions. There is need to build local capacity in supply chain through in-service trainings, formal education and certification. There is also a need to stimulate local supply chain research, because you cannot truly import supply chain solutions into Nigeria. We need to identify the challenges. We also need to find local sustainable solutions and models that will work. Good enough, there is possibility of intersectoral supply chain capacity and solutions transfer. Whatever we are learning, we can transfer to the agriculture industry, we can transfer to the oil industry, we can also transfer to the transport industry. As I speak with you, one of my staff who has undergone the first module of the MIT Master's Program is already working with Dangote as a consultant as we are in this conference, and that is in the transport industry. Finally, conclusion. Supply chain management is a welcome innovation in pharmacy practice. Some pharmacists should champion this emerging aspect of the profession. PSN and PCN should fence in this practice area as soon as possible. Partnerships and coalitions are key if we must deliver quality assured medicines efficiently and effectively to the last mile. Thank you.
Well, once a teacher, always a teacher. But I can tell you that this paper will form part of the plank, the materials that will be used when we set up what the registrar talked about yesterday. I think his paper will be very, very useful. 3 years ago, if I'm not wrong, the WPCP had this thing to do about public health. It was as if we were losing out in public health in Nigeria. And the council decided right away to introduce the course in as a specialization in WPCP. And it's gratifying to note that people are doing very well in that area today. And the registrar's announcement yesterday is that there will be a 9-month course on this particular area. So the need for all these panelists as to fine-tune it becomes very important. And on that note, Our chief regulator, who is here, will now speak to us on the aspect of it that the PCN will take up. But before then, I want to say stop press. The president of PSN is seated in our midst. He's wearing a white babariga. And by his side, a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria from the red chambers, wearing red to show that she's from the red chambers, Senator Eme Ekaete. Don't worry, they are my friends, and I have a way of disturbing them every time. On that note, the prophet will come to prophesy what will happen.
The president and past president present here today, my dear colleagues, please may I know how many minutes? Because I saw the paper falling off from your hand. And what that means is that you have no authority again to stop me when I'm talking. So we should understand the times and season when things are happening. So when the paper fell off his hand, I knew that God says you should allow this man to talk. We are told to speak on professionalization of supply chain in pharmacy practice, private, public, and regulatory perspective. In order not to waste much of our time, I will just read it out and do one or two explanations, because if I'm to start speaking today, I may not have enough time to deliver the something. Drug distribution channel, as we all know, is the pathway through which drug products move from manufacturer and importers to the end users. This pathway not only helps in the product tracking, it also helps to monitor and guarantee the product quality, integrity, and safety of its use by the end users. Healthcare services in Nigeria and the world over are largely hinged on the availability of and access to medicines that are affordable, efficacious, safe, and of good quality. However, one of the most challenging factors in achieving effective regulation of the pharmaceutical sector in Nigeria today has been, and it is, the very chaotic drug distribution system in the country. This challenge is further worsened by the existence. To address this ugly situation, a presidential committee on pharmaceutical sector reform was constituted in 2003 and to, among other, develop strategies towards the sanitization of drug distribution system in the country. The PCPCRO recommended the development of national drug distribution guidelines as a key strategy to coordinate the drug distribution sector. So the government understood the professionalism that needs to be put in place in this issue of drug distribution. And we've come up with an approved flow chart, which has been circulating for the past 2 or 3 years, of which you have the manufacturer and importers at the top. And then the next level, you have the mega warehouse centers. You have the coordinated wholesale centers. You have the wholesale centers. And then you have what we're supposed to call the public warehouse centers, which the states and the federal government are supposed to do. From there, we now have another level, which is the community pharmacy, private health institution, public-private healthcare centers, and the PPMVs, before you get to the consumers. So the maintenance of this flow calls for professionalism, and that is the focus of government on the National Drug Distribution Guidelines. However, in the public sector, the National Product Supply Chain Management Program, NPSCMP, is in place. And it has to do with supply chain reformation that started at the Federal Ministry of Health in 2012. And why this? Because of high rate of stockouts and wastages, poor visibility of resource mobilization and usage, highly fragmented supply system, low performance of health programs in face of huge foreign investments to combat extreme disease burdens. All these are the professionals are supposed to hold on to this to be able to bring sanity within the public health sector. In response to this, Federal Ministry of Health set up the National Product Supply Chain Management Program with core mandate to coordinate the procurement and supply management activities of all public health medicines and other health products. Council is very much concerned about this because reports have been coming to us that store officers are now the one procuring drugs in some health facilities in this country. May God help them by next year, when the new law starts effect, we address it accordingly. But however, as professionals, we are supposed to guide our profession very well. I know some of you are having challenges with your CMDs. Please let us know, and we'll know how to go about it. This year, Pharmacy Council has targeted the community practice environment. By next year, we are going to the hospitals, clinics, and the universities. Some of you will ask, why university? We are also going to do on this unannounced assessment, because some of the students, the young pharmacists coming out these days, there are challenges for us. So we may come while the lectures are going on or when the practicals are going on. We just come in and see what is happening. And then council will get reports and will forward it to the appropriate authority. There's this adapting and developing under the FMOH National Product Supply Chain Management Program, the UNICEF approach to health system service, routine service delivery. You have a lot of strategic management going on. You have programs and partners involved. You have the tactical management, where you have the logistics officers. And then we also have in place the leadership and governance. That's the coordinating body. You have it at the national level, you have it at the state level, and you have it at the local government level. A lot of work is being done there, and I want to appreciate the Director of Food and Drug Services of the Federal Ministry of Health for the work that they are doing as regards professionalization, both at the national, state, and the local government level. You also have the surveillance and strategy program that is also in place, and then the program delivery is being coordinated at the national level. Professionalization is a process by which a role or sense of responsibility and competencies are made into or establishment as a profession. I don't need to go into the supply chain definition. We all know what that is. But however,
a great mom isn't just about playing with your kids or providing toys for them. It's also about knowing when they're not feeling well and the medicine that's right for them. When my daughter has a fever, I give her Panda paracetamol drops, specially designed for the relief of pains and feverish conditions in infants and children. It's very gentle on my daughter's stomach and body so that she gets stronger and healthier. With Panda paracetamol at hand, I get to spend more time with my little girl.
Feel good, get better. better with Panda Paracetamol.
Feel better with Panda Paracetamol, another quality product from Afrapchem Limited.
For nearly 20 years, Afravite has been my family's choice of multivitamin supplement for the children. When I was a young girl, my mother gave me Afravite because it's rich in vitamins crucial in the growth of children and for their daily vitality. Afravite now comes in a new pack but retains the same goodness that helps to keep the family strong and healthy. Afravite, available in syrup and drops for daily vitality. Afravite is made by Afrapchem Limited.
1 to 2 teaspoonful of Coflax cough syrup 3 times daily gives you fast relief from chesty and dry cough. Coflax clears your cough and symptoms of cold associated with it. Coflax is available for adults and children. Coflax, the cough syrup for every family. Manufactured by Drug-Field Pharmaceuticals.
There should be a stamp and a seal that will go with it so that it will be a distinct area and the authority of council will go with it. On that note, we are going to take our questions. We'll now all be seated, and if you have any questions, we are going to take about not more than 4. Yes, I will start with the lady who raised her hand first. Another logistics person is here, and any more hands? Okay, there's a third person there. Okay, my lady, come up. Can we give her the microphone? You direct your questions to the particular, I'll give the microphone for the response. We'll take all the questions and then we'll reply, the response will come accordingly.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My question is for Mr. Kumar. I really enjoyed your presentation, even though I think it was very, very rushed. I think you should have spent a bit more time because for us retailers, really, this is really where our problem is. All right, first question. This is a disruptive conference. I want to know what steps WWCV is taking in disrupting the whole SCM system along the line. Then another area that particularly concerns me is, God forbid, if there is a product recall. How have you been set up, or how are you helping retailers, to be able to send those kind of recalls back? And then my third question. This is 29th of October. By next week, we're all going to be... Okay, 30th. Thank you so much for correcting me. By next week, we're all going to be rushing to buy our products. This happens every year. Stock out. November and December. Retailers, do you agree with me? Now, what steps are you also putting in place, to avoid, because some things happen every single year. Customers, patients walk around store to store looking for particular medications. What are you also doing in that regard, in terms of stock outs, product recall, and then just even disrupting the whole supply chain? Because you are the biggest guys around. I call you a monopoly too. So thank you very much.
Thank you. My name is Ernesto Cafo, Nemit Pharmaceuticals, a wholesale distribution company, right from inception. I want to thank Professor Uzochukwu. I've been following you online in most of your write-ups, and to address some of the questions you raised concerning wholesaling and distribution in Nigeria. I want to tell you that the wholesalers are now forming or have formed farmer organized wholesale distribution group, and is still loading. One of the ways we want to do this is to standardize wholesaling and distribution in Nigeria, which has been very chaotic because non-professionals are in it. Before the end of the year, of this month, inauguration of International Federation of African Pharmaceutical Wholesalers group is going to be formed in the Gambia, and we are going to be part of it. We are going to have only pharmacies that are into distribution in Nigeria as members of that group. One of the things we discovered is that the importers and manufacturers are only looking at sales. They are not looking at other aspects of logistics, storage, and handling in the value chain. I want to ask Mr. Santosh, in his presentation, he talked about losing revenue in your importation, having your containers moving from the port to your warehouse, taking up to how many weeks? Secondly, you talked about the handling of insulin in one of your customers you went to. I want to ask two questions. Why signing on that distributor do you do pre-registration, qualification, investigation as to the facilities he has in place in handling such products? Secondly, why importing? Do you consider storage and temperature as an issue? These days when you are bringing in goods from flying goods in, you have temperature loggers. And you know, when you know that these products are going to be in the container for weeks, what type of storage do you have in place? Thank you.
Mine is actually a comment in reacting to the presentation from the registrar and the professor. I think we have to be very cautious and very careful from past experiences. The registrar said the postgraduate logistics certificate is going to be pharmacy logistics certificate. I think we have to be very careful. If you do that, you are limiting commodity management to pharmacy items alone, and it can be very terrible. And then it has an implication in the sense that the other departments will want to manage their own commodities. Like right now, if you observe, with the NGOs coming into many facilities, the lab scientists are also managing their own commodities. I think something we have to be very careful. What I'm trying to say in a nutshell is that it should be health commodity certificate, not pharmacy. Look at it that aspect. That's number one. And also what the prof has said is very, very important. He said they are taking up options of the names to get the certificate in logistics. So I think you have to go back to the drawing board and look at these issues so that we don't limit ourselves and then it's like shooting ourselves on the leg and then we cannot come out of it. Don't forget, remember we said Pharmacists Council of Is it Pharmacists Council of Nigeria? And the technicians say that they are not pharmacists. So these are things we have to be very careful that we don't limit ourselves tomorrow and we cannot come after the issue. Please, I want that to be taken very seriously. Thank you so much. My name is Gabriel Mando from Benue State. Thank you.
Mazi, please, can somebody prepare to ask the question on the e-logistics aspect of all this? I have not, nobody has asked that question. Mazi has the...
Thank you, Chair of this session and the panelists, President and past presidents of PSN, ladies and gentlemen, fellows. My question is at the heart of what we're doing. The essence of logistics, pharmaceutical logistics, I think, is to be able to deliver the pharmaceutical product to the patient at the end, at the right time, in the right quantity, and the right quality. That is the end point. Every other thing is story. Now, my question in all this, because my understanding is that the pharmacist has the mandate of certifying every medication or medicine that goes to the patient. That's the mandate of the pharmacist. He's the professional that has been equipped and trained to intervene between the manufacturers and producers and the patient. He is the last man before the drug is consumed, to be sure that the dose is right, the quality is right, the timing is right, and all that needs to be done to ensure the optimum outcome has been done. My question is, in all this, how do we guarantee that the pharmacist is not overreached, overlooked, or ignored in ensuring that every medicine that goes to the patient is traceable to a pharmacist? Because that's the ultimate. The pharmacist must be answerable to the medication that goes to every patient, directly or indirectly. How are we providing for this? Not just moving the product, but making sure it does not go outside the purview of the pharmacist. That's my question. Thank you.
I think I will ask the registrar to answer that particular question. Yes? Yes, that will be the last question. The gentleman there.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Sorry, that's my chairman from Rivers State. I bow and tremble, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm Pharmaceutical Value Chain, PSN Chairman, Rivers State. I've been very worried about the procurement processes in Nigeria. Some of the oil companies in Rivers State, the pharmacists do not have any say when it comes to procurement. You just do your specification, and the purchasing department will buy, and then the pharmacists will receive the product. And that has been my worry. Now, my question is this. There is Chartered Institute of Purchasing and Supply in Nigeria that is set up by the Act of the Parliament to regulate procurement practices in Nigeria. And now, we are trying to do our own. We need to study the acts and be sure that we are not setting up something that will not work. We need to study the act very well and see how we can come in. That is my input. The Chartered Institute of Procurement Management in Nigeria is an act of the National Assembly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I will move the microphone from the erudite professor to my sister, but the registrar will cap it up. If there's any question you think you can answer here, you just...
Thank you, sirs. My understanding of logistics and supply chain is that there are whole gamuts of rules and competencies that are involved. Some of those roles can be performed by the pharmacists. Many of those roles can be performed by persons who are non-pharmacists. Like there are a lot of modeling, quantification, that people in engineering, people in business, people in purchasing and supplies can actually handle. And because that area is inclusive, we should allow them to do what they can do efficiently and effectively. However, we must fence in areas or roles that can be said to be pharmacists only when it comes to logistics. There are areas under supply chain that can be said to be pharmacists only. And that we can do, my thinking, when we develop capacities in those areas much more, far and above B Farm or Farm D. And my thinking is that postgraduate diploma is not, that's my personal thinking, it's not good enough. Because postgraduate diploma means BSc, that's the implication. But if we are talking about master's degree, then that pharmacist that has done master's degree can now be licensed additionally to be a pharmacist logistician who will handle certain aspects of logistics that non-pharmacists should not approach. That is how professionalization happens. You fence in your profession so that only you have the competence and the legal backing to do that role. That's my thinking. Thank you.
I think just to add to what my professor has said and the co-members of the panel, what we're saying here is, if you look at this room, everybody here has qualifications as pharmacists. I would assume that almost all of us here have the backing of the practice. Nobody can fault you in that. And we're saying we have been doing so much, whether in the private practice or in the public sector practice, in the area of logistics and in the area of supply chain. But we don't have the backing. Now, key stakeholders are saying there should be some credibility to what we are doing. And we are saying to the pharmacy profession, the pharmacy practitioners, if you don't get the backing, all the disciplines will get it, and you will need to go and get it under them. Just look into this critically, just like the registrar has said. Universities, practitioners, make sure that you begin to institutionalize pharmacy supply chain or health commodity supply chain management profession and professionalize it in just my language. Thank you very much.
Another short response.
So even before I started, I was warned that I have to be short. So first question, madam, first of all, thanks for your kind words of appreciation. So let me be fast. What disruption measures are we taking at worldwide to ensure that SEM is sanitized? First thing, as you may be aware, for the last 2 years, we are doing strict batch monitoring. Like you may observe at worldwide, every invoice that comes out has got batch, because that is the first thing to have a batch recall. And today, all our reps all across the country and our managers, at the time of order booking itself, they are telling the customer what is the batch number that they are going to get, what is the expiry date that they are going to get, so that there is no difference of what is being promised and what is come. Third thing is, today being a company that is having headquarters in South Africa, we were the first company in Africa to have implemented blockchain and serialization. In South Africa, as you may have heard, this is the buzzword in the pharmaceutical world today, blockchain and serialization. That means right from the manufacturer up to the patient, you will be able to track in case of any batch recall. Now, second question of yours was product recall. In the recently conducted batch product recall of codeine, I'm happy to tell you that Worldwide was one of the distributors that we could track up to the last bottle that we have distributed and gave the details to the regulators for the onward action. Now, what are the steps to take product recalls, safety stocks? What are the steps we are taking to make adequate inventories to avoid stock losses and all? As you may appreciate, like as I was showing in my presentation, logistics to a larger extent is also a matter of the environment in which you are working. Like if a container takes 20 days to clear at the airport and it takes 20 days to come to the warehouse, it has got significant impact on our planning. But then we are building up the inventories to avoid any stock losses, any stock outs. But we need to be mindful that any such adequate extra inventories cost a lot of finance, and unfortunately it gets built up in the margins and markups. But then the best thing is that we need to work with the government, or rather request the government to improve the infrastructural, so that if not just in time, but at least we have adequate inventories at all the times. So those are my 3 responses. The question of Mr. Ernest Ecoffer, I fully understand and agree with you that any such customer, first of all, that was not our customer that we were supplying insulins. We went there and we saw that this is what happening. In fact, till today, we don't supply any cold chain products to such customers. So I fully understand and endorse your view that we need to be more rigid in evaluating the customers, in onboarding the customers to our distribution channel. Now, what measures are we taking in temperature control? Today, as per the global guidelines, all the products that are below 25 degrees and 30 degrees are coming in reefer containers with the temperature loggers. So, companies like GSK, company like Novartis, in fact, they insist on sending the data logger back to them before even we send the first unit into the market. So now we are going to the forward integration. How do we ensure that our wholesalers are keeping the temperature control? How do we ensure our retailers? But as you may appreciate, if we implement such guidelines today strictly, almost half of the wholesalers will not be in a position to distribute, because as per the so-called guidelines, you have to run the generators in the mid of the night, even to keep the temperature. So it is an infrastructural issue, but I think all of us together, if we join hands, we will get there one day. But today, at least up to our level, we are able to manage that. Thank you.
Okay. Dear colleagues, I just want to respond to the question concerning how colleagues can be more relevant in supply chain management and as far as drug distribution is concerned in this country. Before now, there are a lot of assumptions that we have as pharmacists. And even the law, the instant law now that is on ground, there's a lot of assumptions. These assumptions has created gateway for infiltrators to infiltrate this profession. Assumptions in production, assumptions in distribution, and assumptions in sales. And that is why there's a new trend growing now among our younger ones, most especially those of them that want to work in community pharmacy. Most of them will say, I just want to register, pay me upfront. And then they want to go. I don't know where they are going. You just find out that what we are supposed to do, we are not doing it. Most of our colleagues that are even taking interns, they are taking interns as sales girls. What they are supposed to do, they are not doing it. We are not doing it. And this gap is what the new act is addressing. Because if we are in democracy, council cannot just stand up and start dealing with issues when there's no law to back it. We are no longer a military era. So if you think you can get back what you think you've lost through negligence, it's not as easy as it will be if we're under military. So I believe the new law, once it comes into being, we will be able to address all the gaps that have sidelined pharmacy in this supply chain and drug distribution in this country. Thank you.
Thank you. On that note, we just want to thank the audience, and I thank my dear panelists. Thank you very much. Temenu, over to you.
A big round of applause for these distinguished panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Let's appreciate them this morning. Thank you very, very much. Take a group photograph.
One size does not fit all. Whoever determined what that one size is that's supposed to fit all, obviously has never met you. So yeah, one size doesn't fit all, especially when it comes to your health. This is why Reload multivitamins come in various formulations for different phases of life. Reload understands that in nutrition, no one size fits all, because our nutritional needs evolve with age and differ by gender. The Reload range of products containing multivitamins, multiminerals, and antioxidants are nutritional supplements made with our ages and gender in mind. Reload vitamins contain the goodness of a variety of fruits and veggies. Reload also carries easy-to-chew tablets for kids and liquid drops for babies that your kids are sure to love. Don't choose one size. Choose your size. Reload. Complete nutrition for different phases of life. Find it today at a pharmacy near you.
The family of Okon has been taken hostage by an evil-looking creature.
When Amatem Fort appear, malaria alarm for cover. Amatem, thank you. Amatem Fort are get some gel capsules, tablets for adult, and suspension for pikin. Amatem does not eat somebody and are very easy to use. Remember how Amatem Fort I get scratch pin to confirm the original, and I get some gel capsules. Amatem, say no to malaria, yes to life.
With you here again is John Ball Lubukala, one of your anchors for the Crew Media TV, and here we are at LB Pharmaceuticals Nigeria Limited stand. We've been taking a tour of different places, and this will be one of our stops for today. We would also be taking a short talk with people here, getting people's opinions. We like to know what LB Pharma deals in, and just a lot of things that we're going to be doing here today. So just stay tuned as we talk to a few of the people who are here.
This brand is this. This is a clinically tested and tried in Nigeria, and the result has just come out wonderfully and successful, with a lot of health professionals confirming the outcome of the clinical trials for this brand of artemether lumefantrine, which we call Amatem soft gel. So the confidence is there, and the patients are also feel free to take a product like this. They are actually going to recover from malaria. So these are some of the wonderful products we have from Helby.
Okay, so I can see that truly your confidence is quite high. I can see a lot of people are here at your stand. A lot of people are making purchases. How good has the feedback been? I believe you've been taking feedback from your customers. How good is your feedback?
One of the good feedback we are getting from the people is this. Even a lot of people will say they've been looking for airbase stand, they are not getting. They are looking for airbase stand. And the reason why is that they are actually coming. The turnout from people has been very wonderful, and they know airbase is always there at each PSN conference. So the first thing they would have, we have been looking for your stand, and very good enough, people have been directing them, and that's why we have these visitor girls which have been leading people down to this point. So the report we are getting, the feedback we are getting from people have been very wonderful, fantastic, even with respect to this our anti-malaria Amatem soft gel. If you look at inside the premises, the hall, where the conference is also being carried out, the people are actually seeing the awareness at that level, and because of that, they were actually also asking that where is Amatem soft gel, where is Amatem soft gel. And apart from this, also a lot of distributors in town, they'll be visiting our stand. They don't want to miss out of this activity, this fiesta, this Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria annual conference. They don't want to miss out of it. And also they are aware there's going to be a special discount for their price of whatever they are going to buy. So it has been very wonderful and very fantastic.
So I believe you've been having such a great time here with your customers and clients. I can see you're all smiles because your sales are really well.
It's quite impressive. Our sales have been very impressive. From every product is actually doing well in the market. So confidently, our people are also doing the right thing by talking to the doctors, talking to the pharmacists. So the product is actually coming to the limelight in a very bigger way.
That's very good. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. And we're sure we'll still hear more from you as the conference goes on. And we believe we'll have more to hear about more of your products as time goes on. I'm sure there's still a lot on your table, as we can see. Yes. A lot of your products which have been tested and tried.
Yes.
So I'm sure people will be coming over here to see what you're doing. So thank you very much for your time, Mr. Kayode.